Families are supposed to be your safety net, the people who lift you up when the world tries to tear you down. But in my case, the person who nearly destroyed my life wasn't a stranger, a rival, or an enemy from outside. It was my own cousin, someone I trusted like a sister. Her name was Sarah. Growing up, Sarah and I were inseparable. We shared secrets, clothes, dreams of escaping our small town and making something of ourselves. She always said, "We're in this together, no matter what." And for years, I believed her. But underneath that sisterly bond, there was something darker simmering: jealousy. Sarah had always compared herself to me. When I got better grades, she'd brush it off with a joke, but I could see the sting in her eyes. When I started dating Daniel, a kind and ambitious man who treated me with respect, Sarah pretended to be happy for me, but there was a sharpness in her smile I couldn't quite explain. I ignored it. I thought I was imagining things. But then came the betrayal that would change everything. It started with whispers. One afternoon, a friend pulled me aside and asked, "Is everything okay between you and Daniel?" I was confused. Things were going well, at least, I thought they were. That's when she told me she had overheard Sarah talking to a group of people at a party, telling them that Daniel had been unfaithful to me. I laughed it off at first. Sarah would never say something like that. But the whispers grew. Suddenly, people were looking at me differently, pity in their eyes. Even Daniel seemed unsettled, asking why people were asking him questions he didn't understand. I confronted Sarah. She denied it, of course, with wide, innocent eyes. "I'd never say that about you. People must be twisting my words." I wanted to believe her. After all, she was family. But then the proof came. A mutual friend showed me a recording on her phone. Sarah's voice, unmistakable, clear as day, telling others that Daniel was two-timing me, that he wasn't the man I thought he was. My heart dropped. It wasn't just the lie that hurt, it was the intention behind it. Sarah wasn't just spreading gossip. She was trying to ruin my relationship, to sabotage my happiness before it even had a chance to grow. But why? The answer came a week later when Daniel confessed something to me. Sarah had been texting him, messages that blurred the line between playful and flirtatious. At first, he ignored them, thinking it was just her strange humor. But as time went on, the texts grew bolder, more inappropriate. And when he didn't respond, Sarah turned bitter. That was when I understood everything. Sarah hadn't just been jealous of me, she had wanted what I had. And when she couldn't have it, she decided no one would. The betrayal cut deeper than anything I'd experienced before. It wasn't just about a boy. It was about trust, about blood turning against blood. About realizing that the person I thought would protect me was the one holding the knife. I was furious. But I didn't let Sarah see my anger. No, anger would give her power. Instead, I smiled. I acted as if nothing had changed. I let her think her little scheme was working. And all the while, I began to plan. Because if Sarah wanted to play games with my future, she had no idea the storm I was about to unleash. After discovering Sarah's betrayal, my world felt like it had tilted on its axis. Every memory we had shared, sleepovers, whispered secrets, promises of loyalty, now felt tainted, rotten. It was like realizing your reflection in the mirror had been a mask all along, and behind it lurked a stranger. But I refused to let her win. Sarah thought she had the upper hand. She believed her lies had already seeded doubt in Daniel's mind, that she could pull the strings and watch me crumble. What she didn't know was that her arrogance was about to be her undoing. At first, I stayed quiet. I continued smiling at family dinners, laughing at her jokes, even pretending to confide in her. I let her believe I was still blind, still oblivious. But in the background, I was watching, listening, gathering. The more I observed, the more I saw how deep her envy ran. She didn't just want Daniel. She wanted everything. My grades, my recognition, my parents' approval. When I got accepted into a prestigious university program, Sarah was quick to tell relatives how lucky I was, as if luck had written every essay and studied every night in my place. Her bitterness dripped into everything. And then came the twist that nearly broke me. One evening, Daniel showed me another message Sarah had sent, Only this time, it wasn't just flirtation. It was a threat. You don't belong with her. She'll never make you happy. I could give you everything. If you don't see it soon, I'll make sure you regret it. Daniel was furious, but more than that, he was worried. He told me we needed to distance ourselves from Sarah, cut ties altogether. But I wasn't ready, not yet. I didn't just want to walk away. I wanted her to feel the consequences of what she had tried to destroy. So I set my plan in motion. Step 1 was patience. I knew Sarah was reckless. She couldn't help herself. Her need for attention, her desire to be the center of every story, would eventually expose her. I just had to wait for the right moment. That moment came at a family gathering. My parents had organized a dinner to celebrate my acceptance letter, and the entire extended family was there: uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents. It was the kind of evening where people mingled, swapped stories, and made polite small talk. Sarah, of course, was in the center of it all, pretending to be supportive, hugging me in front of everyone, saying how proud she was. But her eyes betrayed her. They were cold, calculating, waiting for an opportunity to strike. And strike she did. Halfway through the evening, I overheard her whispering to one of our aunts, spinning the same tired lie, that Daniel had been unfaithful, that I was too blind to see it. My blood boiled, but I forced myself to stay calm. Because what Sarah didn't know was that I had prepared for this. I had shown Daniel's phone, with her flirtatious and threatening texts, to a few trusted family members earlier that week. I had asked them to stay quiet, to wait for the right moment. And now, that moment had come. When Sarah finished her little performance, one of my cousins stood up and said loudly, "Sarah, maybe you should stop talking about Daniel like that." The room went silent. Everyone turned. Sarah froze, her fake smile faltering. "What are you talking about?" she stammered. That was when Daniel stepped in. Calmly, but firmly, he pulled out his phone and read her messages aloud to the entire family. Every word. Every desperate plea. Every threat. Gasps filled the room. My parents' faces went pale. My grandmother shook her head in disbelief. Sarah's mask shattered in seconds. She tried to deny it, of course, claimed the messages were taken out of context, that Daniel was twisting the truth. But no one believed her. Not anymore. Her own lies had trapped her. But exposing her was only the beginning. In the days that followed, Sarah's reputation crumbled. The same relatives she had tried to impress now avoided her. Friends she once manipulated stopped answering her calls. Even her own parents looked at her differently, disappointment heavy in their eyes. I should have felt satisfied. And in some ways, I did. She had tried to ruin my future, and instead, she had destroyed her own. But there was still one piece missing, the final strike, the one that would ensure she never dared to cross me again. And that, I realized, would require me to step out of the shadows and show her exactly who she was dealing with. The fallout from that family dinner was brutal for Sarah. She walked out that night red-faced, muttering excuses, and slamming the door behind her. 4 days, she stayed quiet. No messages, no sly comments, no manipulations. But I knew her silence wasn't surrender. It was plotting. Sarah was too proud to accept defeat. And I wasn't about to give her the chance to rise again. I started by reclaiming my space. For years, Sarah had overshadowed me with her loudness, her ability to twist situations in her favor. But now the truth was on my side. I spoke openly about what she had done, not with malice, but with honesty. My voice, steady and calm, carried more weight than her frantic denials. Family members who once dismissed my instincts began apologizing, telling me they should have believed me sooner. Even Sarah's own mother pulled me aside one afternoon and said quietly, "I don't know who my daughter has become." Still, Sarah wasn't finished. One evening, Daniel showed me a new message from her. Unlike the others, this one wasn't seductive or manipulative, it was venomous. "You think you've won. You humiliated me. I'll make sure you regret this for the rest of your life." My hands trembled as I read it. For a moment, fear gripped me. What if she tried to hurt me in ways I couldn't control, academically, socially, even physically? But then, something inside me shifted. No more fear. If she wanted a war, she would get one. I began collecting every piece of evidence I had. Screenshots of her texts, records of her lies, and even voice notes Daniel had secretly recorded when she called him late at night. Piece by piece, I built a case that exposed not just her betrayal toward me, but her pattern of cruelty toward others. Because the truth was, Sarah hadn't just targeted me. She had whispered lies about other cousins too, turned friends against each other, and used secrets as weapons. Once I started digging, her trail of destruction was impossible to ignore. The perfect opportunity came a few weeks later. My university hosted an event where close friends and family were invited to celebrate new admits. Sarah showed up uninvited, dressed to perfection, pretending she was part of the reason for my success. I could almost admire her audacity. Almost. But this time, I was ready. In front of a small group of family and peers, I calmly pulled out my phone and said, "Since Sarah insists on being here, maybe it's time we clear the air." And then, without raising my voice, I laid it all out, the screenshots, the threats, the recordings. Sarah's face turned white. Her hands shook as she tried to snatch the phone from me, but Daniel stepped in between us. People stared at her with disgust. Some whispered, some outright confronted her. Her perfect image shattered completely that night. The aftermath was devastating for Sarah. Friends cut ties. Family stopped trusting her. The envy she had nursed for years turned into isolation. And me. I didn't just walk away unscathed, I walked away stronger. Daniel and I grew closer, bonded not just by love but by the battle we had survived together. My academic career thrived. My confidence soared. And slowly, the fear Sarah once instilled in me faded into something else entirely. Pity. Because in the end, Sarah destroyed herself. I didn't need to plot elaborate revenge. I didn't need to scream or fight. I simply revealed the truth and let it do the work. Still, sometimes at night, I wonder if she regrets it. Does she replay her choices in her head? Does she lie awake realizing that her obsession with tearing me down only left her in ruins? The last message I ever received from her was short, almost pitiful. "You think you're better than me. One day, you'll see, you're not." But here's the thing, I don't need to be better than Sarah. I only needed to be free of her. And I am.